Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday. Hope everybody's having a good day. It is early, but it's 9:30. It's not bad. Sunny here. We get that constant 5 days of scattered thunderstorms. Ugh, week flew by. All right, so interesting morning. Oops, let me switch this back. I just realized I had it set differently. Take that off. There we go. I was like, I know there's more things than that this morning. All right, so Um, basically, what we're seeing today is what we mentioned yesterday, the exact reversal of pretty much everything. You remember yesterday, all the yen pairs were straight down. Example like pound yen was down a lot, right? Today it's up 108. If you look at Aussie yen, it's up. Dollar yen up a little bit. Again, a lot of that has been kind of the reversal of the dollar a bit. It was getting strength yesterday in this pair, obviously, because just what it was. Um, Pound dollar, obviously, up big. Pound is up, right? I mean, your pound is down 36 right now, so showing that we do have pound strength coming back in again, and some of that is from the remarks from Bailey earlier. Um, CAD unemployment came in exactly as expected, but their unemployment change came in better than expected by a pretty significant margin, right? So, right now, CAD down, 50 points, 50 pips in the last 24 hours. Not necessarily super surprising. I think yesterday, after it was up so much, it was kind of prepared for this, for a bit of a drop. And we mentioned that, and there was a few levels a little bit higher um, that we were trying to get into. So, you know, um, really today, I mean, G20 things are going to be out there. We're going to see headlines. I don't think let's see, last we heard, yeah, we still don't have the OPEC situation is still kind of getting crazy out there. And some of that actually may be affected by today's G20 meetings. Now, it is day one, so I don't expect there to be um, kind of a lot of headlines from it, right? Typically, there's one later in the afternoon, but tomorrow is day two where things are actually decided. Not much actually gets done on the first day. It's a lot of opening speeches and things like that. So, we'll see how it rolls. Um, Senate talking about infrastructure, working extra is always good. Delta variant is popping up pretty much everywhere. We're hearing about it. Singapore, um, we saw, the Olympics now will have no spectators. It's obviously a big blow to the Japanese economy. You're seeing Australia have major issues with it. So you're kind of seeing it more or less across the board. Um, you know, I- it is what it is. So there's only so much we can do about it, right? I guess in Maryland, and it may be the same everywhere else. I don't know. But I saw in Maryland, we saw a statistic yesterday that every COVID death in June was an unvaccinated person. So, I know people on both sides of the fence of that one. Pfizer's now going for number three, saying, "Oh, if you get that third vaccination, it's like I don't know, dude." I was like, I mean, how many times are we gonna pump ourselves up here? It's like, it's like, oh no, it'll last this long if we do it this. It's like, oh god, but it's like if that was the case, then why wouldn't we just get like two? I mean, I don't know. I think it's one of those things. It's very, very hard to kind of get a grasp around because obviously COVID is going to affect the world economies. I mean, lockdowns, haven't necessarily worked great, but I mean, they work to some extent. There's data that says masks work, masks don't work, vaccines don't work. But then again, is there a limit? I mean, if viruses were as easy to kill, why would we get a flu booster shot every year, right? Because there's new strains coming up. I mean, like, does COVID get to a stage where we need a booster every year? They're saying if Pfizer's saying if we get a third shot, we'll have antibodies for 5 to 10 years. It's like, does that mean the flu shots that people have been taking are antibodies only last a couple months, or is it just that the antibodies don't work anymore because the new strain is resistant to the like? Will COVID get to that stage? So, a lot of questions to be answered out there. But again, the G20 meeting is important. If you guys remember the last kind of big kind of I'd say the last kind of earth-shattering information that was brought up at one of these big meetings was talking about that world tax, trying to stabilize and kind of equalize the kind of the tax structure globally, and that was brought up. So I'm curious to see if there's more information brought up about that. I'm curious to see what they talk about. Basically, currency digitalization. I think that's something that's probably going to come out of this as well. You saw Robert Kiyosaki saying, "Hey, listen, we're in a bubble right now. You should buy Bitcoin." It's like, if Bitcoin is probably the one I wouldn't buy. Many people have shown the flaws in that one already. Just because it was the first doesn't mean it's the best. Um, And again, the way that China is starting to block things, I know being on the on the computer hardware kind of side of things, they're saying that the market is starting to get flooded now with used um, graphics cards, right? Um, GPUs. Again, these are not ones that people want to buy, right? You still can't buy them in the United States because they get swallowed up almost instantaneously. But you're seeing scalping prices come back to normal. Why is that important? Because if you're seeing something on a national level like that, where I think it was like 62 or 72% or something like that, it's pretty high. Most of the mining was happening in like these hidden kind of mining farms in China. China outlawed those, so it kind of just goes to show you kind of where the future of it is going to kind of lead to. And there's more statements. So I think the digitalization could actually drive some strength back into some of the major currencies again. If there's comments about that, about restricting the flow of it and the downfalls of unregulated, cryptocurrencies, and it's the world is it's the world can say, hey, listen, we don't want we're gonna use these assets out there, and it's going to be like money. But when countries say that you cannot accept payment in those forms, there's not much you can do with them. It is what it is. It's a paperweight at that point. So I think both days of G20 should be pretty interesting. I think J&J wanted to corner the vaccine market in one J and it backfired. No, I don't think so. It's just J&J was not using the newer technology, so it's a little bit different. I wouldn't say anybody's going to corner because there's many flu vaccines out there. Um, J&J is a different technology. Of the two, Debbie, it goes back to risk in anything, right? J&J's is technology that we know, right? It's nothing new. It's something that we know. The mRNA is a new technology we have not really used. It's not that it's a brand new thing that they just came up with it for COVID. It's been out. It's been under. They've been developing it for years, but it's not this. It's not the same. So some people that are very concerned, because again, we don't really have long-term safety data. We don't really know on a mass scale what this, the mRNA data really, or mRNA kind of sequencing will really do. We don't. There's no way. We don't have long-term data yet. Our long-term data is a year right now. That's it for these vaccines. Where J&J they're using a vaccine that we have. It's a technology that we've tested. Almost all of our vaccines are based off that same level of technology of what they're doing. So it's kind of like the tested gold standard versus what the new one was. And remember, all these were put under emergency kind of testing systems. So, liability is different. They didn't go through the full safety data testing. God knows. God forbid we find out in like a year or two that, you know, you know, people that had the mRNA have a 25% increased risk of cancer, right? We don't know. The long-term safety data is not out yet. So, yeah. Yeah, sitting locked down and cases go up. Yeah, well, you got to remember, if they get to the stage that they're locking down, there are more people that don't know that they have it yet. So that's actually pretty common. You don't see the benefits of a lockdown for 7 to 10 days after the fact. So yeah, it's pretty common. All right. So as far as news today, again, like I said, it'll be headlines later in the afternoon. Tomorrow is G20. We should see some movement. Again, basically what that does is it leads into Sunday. We should have plenty of gaps on Sunday. You know, that's what we're dealing with. Sunday night gaps this week will be nice. Last week, really weren't able to have them with holidays and things like that. So this week, we're finally at a stage where our Sunday gap should be, pretty decent again. And Monday, there's not a ton of stuff going on. There's a bond auction, but again, it's a summer. It's July. This week was kind of funky. Monday morning will be our chance to react to any of the G20 comments that they make. And by then, I'm pretty sure OPEC will have some type of finalized, yeah, we're going to do this. We agreed, world peace type thing. So, we'll see how it goes. All right. So let's dive right over into Aussie dollar. All right. So yesterday, we were sitting right here. All right. We talked about price coming up, right? And we were looking for it to push back down again. It ended up grabbing late last night, that 74.12 area, and has since rallied all the way off. And it, obviously it did well above its 1 to 3 risk reward ratio. Right. To the opposing zone was a 1 to 4.76. So hopefully you guys were able to grab that one. That was based off of a higher level. And again, your exit would have been here. It did actually base it in there a little bit and has now pushed a little bit higher. And again, remember, you could, technically you can take these for, reversals, but remember, we're always looking for the target to be the opposing zone. that would have been this target, and actually this zone should have been there, but it should have been a little bit higher than there. But you can see how it based right off of that level. But that was closing your trade down, not necessarily turning it over. And the fact that it hit it at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, US Trader wasn't online. It was a session shift. So it's kind of one of those things you're like looking for it more to roll than anything else. So it's a level that we can use. But what I would say is I would, if anything, use it for a short to take it back to the downside at this point if you're interested in doing it. Again, since here's where the UK session started. So it's pretty much been one direction. If we do have a reversal, this would be a decent level. And again, it based there once already. If it comes in bases, then you could probably take this back down to that zone. Okay, but it is Friday. Remember, we will run out of steam. Another area I want to point out, I think it's a pretty decent candle, a pop here. That could be the next area we look for a rollover. And again, we still have the two much, much higher up. Right there. Okay. All right, so Aussie yen. Aussie yen is climbing. Unfortunately, we didn't get the entry. We were looking for 81.18. We were sitting, let's see, we were sitting right here yesterday. Right here. We didn't get the entry. We were looking for it. Unfortunately, that happens. Again, this was not really a bottom that we could have grabbed, but about the same time last night, you were able to take this one and go long. 82.50. 82.50 is kind of, I would say that's the next decent area. It's enough of a runner higher, right? It's 30 pips higher than where we are. I think it's a decent roll area, right? It's a decent area. So not much else we can say right now. There's not really another area we can take a reversal even at 10 o'clock. U.S. market is kind of stabilizing it. Again, if it does turn and roll and reverse back down again, I would say probably in the next 30 minutes is when we would do it. It does have to move a little bit. And unfortunately, right now it's 30 pips. I doubt we're moving 30 pips in the next 40 minutes. A pip a minute straight up in the air. Could it happen? Sure. The ATR is 11, so it would have to move 3 ATRs in the next 30 minutes. There'd have to be some type of a headline. I don't see Senate delaying 20 minutes ago. I don't know if that's the juice that we need, but it's possible. Maybe we can get up there, but that would be the only reversal. Just remember that this one, the Aussie is not driving this now. This is nothing but the yen. And we need some type of a G20 headline to be a little bit early. Euro pound. So Euro pound is dropping. As you can see, we were looking to get short. Yesterday, we were sitting right here at this level. And we talked about, basically getting short. Again, it was a decent drop. It came down and then basically stabilized. Did nothing in the overnight. And then at 7 o'clock, this one started to drop back. And again, we know what happened at 6 o'clock this morning. That is when we had Bailey speaking. And we mentioned that yesterday, that, again, that would be a possible. It did drive back down. Had you taken this in spot, you would have gotten stopped out here. But you can see it came down, stabilized, and ended up dropping the full thing. We mentioned on any shorts, your target was going to be 85.75 right here. And you can see it kind of gave a little hiccup, and you see how it happened to base. If I, draw this sideways right from that level, you can see it based in that level and is continuing to push lower. Next profit target, if you are still short this position, I would say take this one down. And bring it all the way down here to 85.35 or 85.38. I think it has the ability to run down there. Like I said, Bailey's comments were good. There's not really strong buyers in this area, and again, we have a little bit of basing here, and it is what it is. I think this one continues to drop down and bounce. If it does come down to this area, I would probably not take this one long. They got like an hour. What is it? Hour and a half. We got hour and a half left here. Yeah, 2 hours. 2 hours left, but that last hour is not really a crazy mover. We're just running out of time. It's gonna close out for the weekend. So I do like how this one is dropping down again. I think this is good for a Sunday night gap, particularly if we get something in the G20. Again, because it's linked with the euro and the pound, there's definitely an opportunity for some news to come out this weekend. Something that will affect at least the European Union. And again, that could give us either a nice bounce or a continued drop next week. Interestingly enough, on this one, you can see that this is all red. Weekly, monthly, 3 months, 6 months, year to date, and 1 year is all down, just showing pound strength. And remember, if we think back to this time last year, like Brexit was an absolute nightmare, right? It was just a complete mess, right? It's interesting to see in 1 year how much of a difference you can possibly have. So, again, if you're short, 85.35 or 85.38 is your target. Euro yen. Now, this one came up, and this one really chopped back and forth. We were looking for shorts at 31.80. I'm sorry, 130.34. We were sitting here, and it really did nothing, right? nothing, and then finally came up, and at about 4:30 we hit it, and then hit it again, and then started the base in it again. Typically, when you see this where it hits it, and it comes back in and kind of drops again, it's typically a telltale sign that this is not going to be an area to short. And again, we were sitting up in this level right around when that news came out. Of the two, I thought that Bailey speaking was a little bit more powerful with data. But again, one touch, two touches, and when we went into three, it drove back in again, and four is what kind of pushed through. So, it happens. I would say right now, we don't really necessarily have a great tested level, probably until we come back up top. So, as of right now, this will be the new range for next week. Right, we'll use this range next week for whether longs or shorts at 131.02 and 129.31. Okay. Looking at the euro dollar. So euro dollar, we were looking for 118.90. We were sitting right here. Again, we didn't get up. It was that little wick over wick, and we didn't actually get to it. Um, Literally 10:30, we reversed down. Profit taking happened, came lower. 3 o'clock. This is the open right here. Right there is the open right there. Okay, decent runner. This one was a mover of about 45 pips in the overnight. It is at a stage now where it will probably be reversing. It is right at that little tiny wick over wick. It's what I say that it's the highest quality of shorts. No, not really. But could it reverse back down and bring us back down? Yeah, absolutely. Probably down into this level is where this one would be for profit taking. At this point, it didn't retrace fully back down, but I would say, watch the 118.30. And if you guys are short, make sure you grab your profit target before then. Okay. We'll leave this on here because that'll be a target for next week as well. There we go. All right. So, pound yen. Pound yen is also driving through. Now, pound yen really kind of picked it up at 6 o'clock. Again, this is that same strength. We were hoping for an area of sellers, but again, we ran out of time and the U.S. session started to pick this one up again. I still like this 152.31 level. It was a decent kind of runner, and actually, it should be a bit higher. It should be there to there. Right there. It looks like it's going up. And again, with the time with the session opening and with the 10 o'clock, it may actually be better to take this one off this level up top. Again, take this first level of basing and the dropping versus the kind of more aggressive one. And again, this is in the same kind of situation that we ran into with the euro pound. Again, we got that movement. The movement started here at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was straight up. And again, that 6 o'clock window where we expected news is what drove this through. And then the session open happened. So I actually think that this one still has the ability to go higher. Again, highest quality zone, not really. It spent 1, 2, 3, 4 hours at that level. It's not quick like something like this that spent 30 minutes and then was tested. So ultimately, this is my favorite short right now on this one, the 135. I'm sorry, 153.46. We have a small one that could potentially be a reversal, but again, pound will run out of steam here in 2 hours, and then it'll be purely yen play. But I would expect this one actually to kind of come and roll over a bit. Only because we've had this much movement. Let's see, from 3 o'clock now, we've had 126 pips worth of movement, right? That's a daily ATR in just the morning session. So I do think there will be some profit taking. Do we turn off this level? Maybe. But again, it's going to need some help from the yen, and the yen is it's not getting a lot of help today. But right now, my two levels for next week are going to be 153.46 and 150.55. Going to pound yen. Now, pound yen blue just went crazy. I'm sorry, pound dollar went crazy. I actually really like this zone at 138.30, and it did get stopped. There was a bit of a pullback right before, but it still wasn't necessarily enough to where I'd say, no. But as you can see, this is where the pound news came in. It's literally been straight up. So the pound is actually breaking levels today, which is not bad, but that's been 90 pips in 3 hours. That's a lot of movement. That's a daily ATR in 3 hours. So pound dollar, really, really like that data. Again, this 137.98, it was a level that we had seen hit 1, 2, 3, and basically a 4 time, and then 5 went through it. Again, the repeated hits to it. I mean, we were sitting right here yesterday, right? So again, touched, came back down again. That would have been your trade. We wouldn't have dealt. Once this turned, this was done. There was no more trade there. So I would say right now, top and bottom wise, if I was going to put another level in above, we'll take this off, and it's a shame. I really like that candle there. I mean, there's this pullback, but in all honesty, that's not really my favorite. It's good movement. It's good movement, but they're a little bit. Let me see, how wide is it? I guess it's only 14. I guess that's not horrible. Trying to pull the nicest levels across. This one I would not use. I'll put this on as a warning area. Um, the only reason this one was left on is because of this level here, because it was an old level. Um, let's see. Bring these across. Let's keep this over top. I would say, let's see. Just use our go to the top. 75. I would say this one has the option, has the potential to kind of roll today. Only because we've had so much movement, basically from, I mean, it's been straight up. Again, here, there's a 3 o'clock candle right there. So it's only had one direction. I think we're just for some profit taking. It's 105 pips to the top side. So, yeah, being at the 10 o'clock, we could have a reversal here. Let me see. Let's throw this on here. Let's see what we got Nadex wise. Pull Nadex on the other monitor. All right. Let me see. First, let's see. Pound dollar. We're sitting at 138.61. Okay, there's no knockouts. Let me see what we got. Call spread. If there's anything up there today for this one. Absolutely nothing on the dailies. 138.61. Jesus, the call spreads are totally jacked too. 138.35. Man, there's nothing close. Yeah, this would be basically a pure binary on this one. There are no knockouts close. There are absolutely no call spreads. The 7:30, the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. way off. The dailies way off. The weekly way off. So there's only small 2 hours. I think this one will need the afternoon. There's just not really enough in this one. Jesus, how it's so frustrating when it's like, yeah, I'll take one of these, see if I can get in cheap, and there's just nothing. There's like everything's 100 pips away. Let me see, daily wise, 38.20. That would be 30 pips down. Yeah, there's a binary in there. It's got about $16 worth of risk. It's got 5 hours. If it's going to reverse there, this is where it would be. It's a strike down here at 20. It's a strike sitting right there. So it's not in a bad place, right? And it would be at 14, it would be 15 right there. Yeah, right there. So yeah, it would definitely need some help, but it only needs to drop about 20, 30 pips to the downside. It can do that in the next 5 hours, but it's definitely going to need some type of reversal pattern to kick in. We need some dollar strength to really step back into the market, some profit taking to kick in. That's the best thing really we have for this one. Yeah, it's unfortunate there's absolutely no call spreads or knockouts or anything else for it. But again, as far as next week goes, if I'm putting tops and bottoms, as far as kind of like my initial establishment, I'd say 139.74 and 137.43 are both decent. As far as dollar CAD goes, dollar CAD, we were looking for another bounce and it didn't. It came down and stabilized and hit it. And again, we'd had our 1, we had our 2 push, we had our 3 push back in, and has now started to reverse back down. We're at a level right now, and again, being 10 o'clock, if we get a reversal, great. I still think if we get a clean break here, which again, we didn't unfortunately get yet, 125.34 would be my trigger to go north and take this higher. And again, if dollar strength comes back in, this should push. It is in an area where there are buyers, so this 124.88 is decent level. We'll shrink this down. I want to kind of collapse this. Let's see. I want to bring this. Okay, let's see. All right. So yeah, we'll shrink that just a little bit. The trigger on that one would be 125.29. Big question is, it's 10 o'clock. It's a reversal hour. If we get that reversal right now, will we have the ability to come up and stabilize and start to go long? I think very interested to kind of see where this one goes today. This is one of those ones that I think will probably be a decent trade Sunday night or Monday. We're seeing good data, but once we figure out what that kind of initial kind of trend is going to be, I'm curious to see where the weekly spreads are for this one. I think there's some decent movement. And again, we've been pushing higher, higher, and higher and higher, and I think that's good. Remember, Canada was the first one to really take steps as far as tapering and everything. Having this good employment data, and again, remember, we went up in our unemployment rate. Canada went down their point, more than what we were supposed to, and they hired more people back again. So Canada seems like things are starting to, you know. And look, it says Canada jobs revival justifies another taper. So they've already mentioned it. Doing those taperings should be very, very positive for this one. So again, I'm kind of curious to see if we can get up into a level where some of these sellers are next week. I think there could be a nice call spread or a knockout short in the dollar CAD next week, starting Sunday night when we get some levels there. Taking this back down maybe into the 123 range next week. So I think there could be some good movement because again, all their data, I think that's what it's preparing for. But right now, again, if we get a lot of movement, 124.23 is good, 125.29 is good, but we got to kind of get out of this chop in the middle before we can do much. But again, we are, I guess actually let me bring this up and we'll extend it higher. It would be here. Actually, I'm just going to bring it to there because that's the next big set of levels we have. All right, there we go. Yeah, we could actually, I would say even potentially 123.20 next week. Dollar Swiss. All right, so there's that dollar Swiss position. We got that short. Basically came down at 10:30 yesterday, right when we finished talking. It's basically in the same spot. Hasn't really moved much. You can see dollar Swiss has only moved 6 pips. So, it's the love or hate situation with this one, right? Great setup off of this aggressive area. Huge day of movement, and then one day of nothing. And this is why I hate this pair because it's not a consistent mover up and down. Yeah, it is what it is. So I would say right now, keep this 129 or 91.25 on your radar. It hasn't gotten down to that level. It's an older base level. Obviously we have the aggressor area up top, the 92.70. I think either of those two are decent levels. Again, we had the profit target 91. We didn't quite make it, but again, we got pretty close, and it's in that same area. This would be another one of those ones where we've had enough movement on a weekly basis right now, where it seems to be moving pretty decently. This could be another one that we take a kind of a weekly swing position on for next week as well. Like I said, I don't, with the data we've seen in the US, I'm kind of starting to lean a little bit towards dollar weakness now, which again would lead us back to the downside, kind of retrace us back all the way down here to this 84 number. So these are some of the lower targets that we had sitting out there on this one originally. Okay. Now that knockout will be done today, so we will just remove it. But we do have this huge racetrack. So there's definitely some downside potential for next week that I'm really excited about for this one. All right. Now, dollar yen. So dollar yen, we didn't get in. We weren't able to catch it. We didn't catch it. So let's see. Yesterday we were sitting here. Okay. We were talking about longs at 109.31. It yesterday at 11 o'clock is literally where we were. 10:30, right? That was the bottom candle. That was our reversal, and it's now just retracing back on this racetrack. It had some hiccups, right? Here, playing with these guys. Here, and here. Kind of put a little one in, and we're now pushing higher. So we're still kind of in that long. Again, for my channel drawers out there, right? My channel drawers, you could take this and, this one is not really a hard one to draw, right? I mean, look at this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's an easy channel to draw higher. I don't think we have any sellers really coming in until we get probably up into this level here, right? Little bit of sellers sitting right here. We'll actually delete this area of interest. I don't need this one anymore. Whoops. Delete that one. A couple sellers sitting right at this level here at 110.27. But I would say until we really get up to this level right here, 110.58. I'm not really interested at all. Yeah. So yeah, I would say this one. I think this goes up today. And funny, this one you can see the euro pound is down. This one is pretty much green for the most part. Weak, it's down a little bit, but I think this one will grind up, and then again we'll look for sellers up in 110. And again, you can see this one has been pretty trendy as well. It's here, but straight up, straight down, and continue this movement today. So here's for the week from here down. The week on this one was. We'll take it from the 6. I guess from here, right? So this one had about 146 pips worth of movement. And again, not a bad knockout if you're able to catch this one to the downside. Question is, do we kind of come back up next week or not? All right. Let's go across and look at oil. So oil, for those of you that were following the oil trade yesterday, um, here's that oil position, right? As you can see, we were talking about $23 risk at the top. We mentioned on the 5-minute we were stabilizing inside of a zone. We were basically talking about we could go long. If you weren't sure if you were one of the hedge both sides and just play a breakout, we had the 23 and 25. It would have been a 48 risk total. As you can see, it expired well above. You would have got your 100 payout. Had you done the $23 long to the top, like we had mentioned from the original news trade setup, again, cost you 23 to get in. You came out with 77? Excuse me. Came out with $77 profit on that one. So basically risking 25 to make 75. A nice little 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio on that one to the top. Even if you had done it the other way, it was, again, you risked 50, basically a little bit less, but you risked 50 to make 50 on that one on a breakout. Again, still a decent play. I wouldn't say it was a huge moving day, but definitely moved more than it needed to. And again, if you remember us talking yesterday, there was not a lot of premium baked into it yesterday. So it was one of those easy opportunities to get into it. But again, based off of the news entry rules, we were going long based off the stabilization inside of a demand area. So 23 would have been the one that hopefully you guys were able to get into. Yeah. So far today, this is what we got going on. Let me drop it back down to a 30-minute candle. You can see, I would say this is a rather kind of small, right? Small European session. When we talk about little, big, 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 this is more on the little side. So do we expect a big movement today? I think it's probably decent. It's rallying. I mean, there's some sellers sitting kind of up in this area right here. We saw them step in before and they came up and those same sellers stepped in. Got a little bit more room to run. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, I would say it's an okay area, but I would say right now I'm still more of a believer in staying oil long, at least until we get back up to that 76 area again. Um, Obviously the OPEC issues, but I mean they're gonna get it fixed. It's all about making money, and they're just doing their flex right now. They're flexing is all it is. I think they'll get it fixed, and I think we come back up. Ideally, I'd like to see this come back up in the 76 range again, and then I'd really like to get some type of a roll. I think a roll would be great. I was reading an article yesterday that I guess Tesla has now announced their new hatchback, I guess, but it's got a starting price tag of like 25 grand. So it's well under, well under most of the electronic cars out there. And again, Tesla is one of the more premium based brands. That's going to put pressure on other people to come with other ones as well. Um, yeah, I'm waiting for some other big announcement. I'm actually kind of excited about the one. I thought the a $25,000. Like, I can never justify. Like, I like the environment, guys. Don't get me wrong, but I can never justify spending like $45,000-$50,000 on an electric car just because, right? I'm just gonna save the economy. It's like, or it's gonna save the world. No, I don't know about that. $25,000. Could I be swayed a little bit because of like the gadgets and the coolery? Right, that's my new word today. The coolery behind it. Maybe at 25. At 50, 55, 60, 70. I mean, some of the original ones came out at like 100, 125 now. No, I don't care. I am okay with gas, right? Um, I eat meat and I use gasoline. So, yeah. But 25K is kind of like, that would be interesting. And again, it would be a cool factor. I could like it. I think that would be interesting. Parking in the special spaces and stuff like that, taking advantage. Like, obviously I'm a man, right? I can never take advantage of the maternity parking spaces at stores. My wife can take advantage of those, but I was like, hey, but if I have an electric car, I can park up front too. Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of my new thing. But again, oil's at 1.54% on a Friday. Again, it's been pretty much one bit of movement since yesterday or last night at like 10 o'clock. Um, There'll be some profit taking. I wouldn't be surprised today, though, if we kind of base and kind of hold up here at 74, 75. Again, it had some problems before and it had a big push, but that was a session open. The session open's already occurred. You can see that was kind of right at the session open / some news going on. Today, we don't have as much, so we'll see. I mean, if we get a base and go higher, I'd really like to start next week higher, but I don't know if we'll have enough, I don't know if we'll have enough, for lack of a better word, gas to go another $1.96, right? We're up $1.13. Can we go an additional $1.96 today? It's going to take a bit. It's going to take a big headline, right? It'll take a big headline today. Okay. Can we get it from what we have left? I don't know. It would have to be a really, really big headline. So I don't know. The chances of it going that high are probably slim to none. But it's not that you can't. I mean, it happens. It could pop in. Um, but yeah, I think either of those two areas are definitely things to focus on next week. Gold is up a little bit. I mean, gold has been more choppy. We talked about the 1794 yesterday. We were sitting right here yesterday. So we took the drop down, and guess what? It hit that area at 11 o'clock that we talked about, 1795. And I think we drew this one out even for a long position, from that level. As you guys can see, this one ended up going to, it broke its 3-to-1 right there. So it didn't take very long, right? At 11 o'clock yesterday, it hit. If you missed it, it hit it again at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, continued to rally up, and then got you out at 10 o'clock. It almost gave us another entry at European Open at 2:30. It just missed, and obviously it broke through the top both ways. But it's kind of that same kind of range there, right? At 1795. Up top, kind of the same thing. And again, this is going to be inflation driven. We've pushed a little bit higher. We did finally break. And again, I think now at this level here, we know that we have 1, kind of 2, and arguably 3. Again, if price is able to come down and break that 1791, we pull right back into that old level. But right now, we're kind of established in this new level here, pretty much from there to there. And we're sitting right in the middle of no man's land. But I think 1814 is good for shorts. 1795 is good for longs. G20, absolutely, without a doubt, could talk about this one. Taxes, global inflation, global recovery, all those things are, again, inflation is what everybody's talking about. European Union says we're not quite at 2, which is great. UK is not at 2. United States is at like 4, but we're pretending that it doesn't exist. UK is a little, or Canada is a little around that area as well. But everybody across the board is saying it's transient. All of it's going to disappear, so it's not really an issue yet. Again, I think that right now there's currently more factors. I like the idea of going long from gold here. It may actually, I do believe it will probably pull back more before. I think the chances of it coming back down into that, like 1750 range are probably higher than us hitting 1950, right? I think 1750 is more likely than 1950, or even probably, yeah, I'd say, let me see, hold on. Yeah, so I would say 1750 is more likely than 1850 right now. Make it fair. Make it fair. But yeah, so hopefully you guys were able to kind of benefit from that one. Unfortunately, the early morning trade would not have hit. We would have missed entry by just a little tiny bit down there. And then, looking at silver. Okay. So 2666, 2550, I think are still top and bottom. We've really just kind of chopped back and forth. I mean, we were sitting here yesterday, right? Here's 1030, and we did silver at the end. So, I mean, it really did nothing. Pulled down a little bit, pulled up a little bit, pulled right back down a little bit. It's a little bit higher now. It's, up 18 cents. I mean, it's up 0.7 or 0.69 on the morning, but is it trending? Not really. It's kind of consolidated in, right? I mean, you could say that this is the new box that we're in. It's on the higher side, and yeah, you could say, hey, listen, hey, there's sellers up here, right? And you're right, there are some sellers up here, right? But there's not really a whole lot driving this so far since the open this morning at the 8:30 kind of time frame for futures. It's pushed up. Question is, will these sellers come in and then push it back to the downside? It actually wouldn't surprise me, and I don't know even if it does go. I don't think 25.74. If you're looking for something really aggressive, but I don't really love it. But 26.36 on the top side would be an area where I'd be comfortable with. This has been hit a few times. It's reversal time. It's Friday. Not really a ton of news, so there are some factors out there that could lead you to take a short, but not really. It's all right. ES. So this is driving, and again, lack of no real news. Again, not surprised. 43.50 is the important one. Again, this one has really been. Let's see. We kind of pulled back from there. We didn't get an entry there. Let's see. European session started, and actually this started late last night. So this has really just been straight up. I would say what's important for this one, before we can hit the next milestone, like I don't think we're hitting 4,400 today, unless, again, there's a crazy headline that comes out. I think it's important to kind of find where our level of stabilization is going to be for longs for next week. I'm roughly drawing this. I know that the price, didn't quite get that high. I think once we can figure out where this is going to base, now we all of a sudden have a risk level for pullbacks to take this long. I do believe with everything that we're hearing, yeah, although the unemployment data wasn't great and everything like that, I do believe that we will have the opportunity. And again, maybe next week, I think we can get up to 4,400 as long as we don't have really any crazy G20 news this week. I'm looking for a stabilization point, and again, maybe it's we stabilize here, and then I'm looking for this to kind of take off next week. Now, if we hit it and drop, yeah, that's going to happen, but at least that will give us. Right now, we don't really have, excuse me, we don't really necessarily have like a clean top of where this is going to go. Like this is not a great area to draw your risk out of, right? Can we draw a Harry Potter from that? Kind of, but none of those candles are really good identifying candles. And again, this is from like one to like, I mean, the price got up there at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:30, and then didn't move. It stayed within that same range. So I think there is something valuably learned from that area, but we don't really have enough information right now to make a decent trade off of it. And again, we typically look at this one a 15-minute. You can see that we had a little bit of a pullback, and again, at the open this morning at 9:30, there was a small trade at the open, right? You would have been able to take that one long. And I think this is a decent target, right? If we come up into here, watch it, protect yourself, trail your stop up. I mean, this is where sellers have stepped in at the 43.53 level. But right now, I mean, this has been a decent runner in the ES so far, right? From the open. You're up, what, 17 points? So, you get that one. I think it's 20. I think it's 20. Hold on. Yeah, it's 21. Sorry, I was wrong. I was off by one. 21 points puts you right at 43.50, which again will be a psychological level. Great place to take profit. Um, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting some basing there because that's again the same place that we had some sellers stepping in the past. And 43.50 is a psychological level. Now, if we base again, could you go, take it long? Sure. Sure, but I think at this point, this is the morning trade so far from the open. Again, a pullback just like at news to an area of demand, taking this one long in an uptrend, right? Obviously, uptrend, pullback, grab, and push. Okay. NQ. So, NQ, we were looking for a break. We didn't get it. This is this kind of little pip down late at night doesn't count. And again, you can see it stabilized off that same level. I would say keep this one on your radar. Again, we hit it here. We hit it here again. So there was two different trades that you could have gotten profitable on that one. I think because it is basing here again, we've had one touch, we've had two touches, we've had three touches. You got to keep this one on our radar for one for next week. I don't know which day it's going to break. I mean, it could do it today. This 14.648. Tesla is down right now again. Apple's up though. Apple's kind of coming back, but I think it's a level you watch out for. And I think in this case, we already know that this one has the ability to come down before buyers step in if it breaks. But 14.648 to 14.583, I think are both of those are decent. Yeah, I think both are good. Top side, I mean, again, on the 15-minute, here's an area where it's going to have some problems. And again, a decent draw. The candle's not bad. That was a 1:30 in the afternoon candle. And again, touch. Early morning hours and drop this down. And again, at 8:15, push back down again. So, this is one of those ones. Could you have gotten long from the open? Yes, but I like the ES much better than I like NQ. It was pushing back, it was tested, but remember, this is a third hit versus the first hit on the 15-minute. I take the ES trade 9 times out of 10, right? And look, you can already see it starting to stall before the opposing side. So, NQ, ES, I would say look for it to kind of rally, and if we can get a base that could be a trigger long, I would say NQ, I'm more likely to be bearish on it. But if we do get a break here of this, 14.648 level, I'd say it's a decent run to the downside. YM. Okay. YM has punched through a level that we were looking at. Now, this is a level that we saw sellers step in at, right? And again, this is the aggressive entry for it. The zone is actually a little bit higher, and these were touching the zone. This is the aggressive entry, and the aggressive entry got halted. Again, this was the same thing at the open. Here's the 9:30 candle. Was it pulling back to like a really, really great zone? It's not as clean as the other two, but it's the same exact trade setup, right? There's your base, right? Your pullback and your push. Now, it's not a big one. It formed the 545. It's good, right? I was kind of hoping we'd have a reversal first. When this started kicking back, I was feeling really good. I was like, here we go. Yeah, that's a nice pop. But again, with the lack of any great news, this is going to continue to push higher. I will say the 34,788, these are higher time frame levels from way back that we like better. And again, in this case, was this the top level? No, it was a good level, right? But it spent a lot of time there. I like the movement off, and that's it. But the level is actually up here. right? Here's the basing back and forth. Here's the basing on the left. And then there's the touch back down again. And that's kind of what it's having issues with now. I actually do like YM to go higher today. I think the industrial side of things will always benefit a bit more. Like this one higher. We'll see. If this is the turning point, it makes sense why it does. But right now, I like the ES for longs. I like the NQ more for a short. And even the YM right now, where it's kind of approaching this higher time frame level in this area, I would say that this could be at a risk of a 1030 reversal back down again. You know, basically short back down to this level. Um, I think this is just profit taking for this week. And again, I think a lot of the I think a lot of people will be closing positions early today because of the G20 risk, as well as they're not going to carry positions into the weekend. That could be the only thing that kind of turns this one around. But for the most part, I think YM, it's up 1.1%, right? NQ is up 0.05. So, this starts the rolling week. NQ drags us down, and I think that's the executionable trade on those three. Okay. Yeah, I really like the ES had the best entry, and look, it's already starting to turn around. Made it a couple points shy. NQ is like it's 0.03 right now. 0.02. It's about to turn red. Almost red. And this one's starting to come back a little bit too. Yeah, it's gonna be that 1030 reversal. Let me see what Tesla's doing. Tesla's down a little bit. It's in an area of basing right now. It's not bad. Apple's pushing up into a gap, right? Apple's pushing up into a gap that they need to watch out for. Trying to see what else is in here. Dogecoin's up 8%. Again, these are everything reversed from yesterday. All the reds in here, it's now the opposite. Although AMC is had a nice rally up and then push. TLT, bonds are down. Natural gas. There was natural gas trade. 815, the sucker took off from that level. I think natural gas is going to hit some pressure. I think natural gas will probably roll and push. Trying to see if there's anything else in there because we're a bit early today. Not really. Oh, we're back up to 0.04 again. So they're trying. Let me see if we have any headlines. No, just the Canada jobs. Cut to serve by point one thing. Greater equity investments, boosts. Nah, that's it. All right, so that's kind of it for Friday. Oil's moving a little bit more. We're hitting that level now. Oil is running. Let me take this off 15, go back to 30. Oil is hitting that level. So, yeah. We'll see what oil is able to do if it's able to break through now. But yeah, it's running into the sellers right here. Gold, look, gold's pulling back as well, right back into the middle of that range. Silver's pulling back, but actually hasn't hit yet. So, nice little pullback on that one. Push higher. Yeah, I think this one is still, we focus on these two sides. Also, yen is making that attempt. It's making that push. We've got 8 minutes before the next candle, so it's really, really close to that 82.49. Let me see, just real quick for this one. What is it? 84. Wow. So the daily call spreads on this one, the closest one, we have an 81.50, obviously 100 pips down from where we are right now. The closest ceiling is at 82.75, which is like all the way up here. It's a bit far. Actually, there's an 82.56. There's an 82.56 knockout. 82.56. All right, there's an 82.56 knockout there, which is not horrible. I just don't know if this one's gonna have enough juice. Like I said, there'll be some profit taking, but I'm not sure because it's in the zone. If it was on the right on the other side, it would be decent, but it's not quite. It may not be deep enough to kind of stomach this last little bit right here, right before we start to get that reversal. I don't know. That'd be an interesting one. I'm not sure if that one will make it or not. All right. With that said, it's a little bit early today, but that's fine. I got actually have quite a busy day, so we'll cut it a little bit short today. So go ahead and get your entries in. Debbie won yesterday, so Debbie's going. Debbie's in with her two, so she's going double her normal today, right? Who else we got in here? Eki, Neuro. Wait, oh, there's Will. I was like, wait, is Will not in here today? It's like, where is Will? Yeah, silence in. There we go. Debbie's like, all right, I'm gonna load down. I'm gonna go 3 times as heavy as normal. All right. When this hits 30, I'm going to head and call it. Figure 10 seconds more. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I don't want anybody to say they didn't get a chance. Hold on. Let's do this. I wonder, can I do it here? Let me see here. Let's see. All right, it kind of worked. Magic 8 Ball said perhaps. All right, winner of today's drawing is Neuro. Look at that. How many tickets you have? Oh, Nora had 2. Nora stepped in big. There we go. Let's go over here and give Nora his 25 pip chip reward there. There we go. Congratulations, Nero. Right? Nobody yelled it's rigged. So I guess that's a good thing, right? Nero's like, holy crap, I won? That's possible? That's the funniest part. Nero's like, wait a second, hold on. Wait, I won? I can win? I was like, Nero, you don't have many wins. I mean, you've becoming more of a, you're part of the regular crowd now, right? Look at this pound, man. This up 177 today. Talk about a reversal from yesterday. It's totally rigged. I rigged it. He's like, yes. We can ask the 8 Ball. Ready? Here, let's ask the 8 Ball. Is the contest rigged? Sure. See, there's so much fun with the 8 Ball. Right? So much fun with the 8 Ball. You guys are actually able to do the 8 Ball too. It's not just me. It's just exclamation point 8 Ball, and you can ask it a question. So you guys are able to do it also. All right, so we're going to end up 5 minutes early today. It's no big deal. Look for Sunday night. I think this Sunday night is going to give us some interesting opportunity. Again, holiday week. This week was kind of rough. It's not really much we can do with it, but looking forward to next week. Sunday night, check out the newsletter, and you guys have a good one. If you need me, shoot me a message on Discord. I'll be around today, and I'll catch you guys later. Take care.